auto payment issues, double billing, incorrect statements, and customer service runaround. Those were just some of the complaints KXAN had received in 2023 by the hundreds from Texas Department of Transportation, toll road, and TxTag users. Following our reporting, the state agency and lawmakers vowed improvement. In a From the Vault edition of Inside the Investigation, our team takes a look at its TxTag Troubles project and where the story could go from here.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Investigation. We are coming to you from the vault and talking today about our TxTag Troubles project. Matt, I know that you were involved in this, the latest iteration, but I've been talking about TxTag for the entire time I've been on the investigative team. That's 13 years, and I know we've been talking about it way before then. It's changed a lot over time, and the reason we keep talking about this topic is because it's something that our viewers continuously have been emailing us about for all of those years. Consistently, it's been problems with billing and customer service. TxTag, the state's tollway operator, has gone through several different vendors and iterations of that customer service entity over the years, and we have followed that through the process to figure out what are they trying to fix. Did they actually live up to that promise, and how is that going now? So our latest iteration of TxTag Troubles was back in 2023 when our team got a new round of emails from viewers, and we decided that this was something we wanted to tackle as an entire team. What kinds of specific problems were we looking at back then?
Yeah, Josh, this is something that our team has been covering, as you mentioned, for years before I even got here. And when I joined the team in 2021, it was one of the top complaints we consistently got from viewers was frustrations and problems with the toll roads. We heard from a number of people, hundreds of complaints, but specifically we're talking about auto payment issues, double billing, a lack of transparency with statements and incorrect statements. So people would say, well, I've got the TxTag, this should make everything easy and seamless. And then they'd go through a road and then they'd get a CTRMA bill and they'd say, well, why am I getting this? Everything should be automated and seamless. There was a lack of transparency with the bills. Well, it would just have, you owe this amount. And they would look at it and they'd say, well, for what roads, when, where, what time? And so there was all this confusion. And then they would call TxTag and they'd say, can you help explain this to me? And I heard so many times from people saying that they spent hours on the phone, tens of hours, and they never got anywhere. And so that's why they were reaching out to us, is because they were not getting any resolution, trying to directly deal with TxTag. And that's when we as a team got together and figured, how can we help these people and try to figure out what are the systemic problems that are happening, and is this something that lawmakers should be aware of?
Because when you have individual TxTag customers that may be trying to get help from TxTag, that's one story. But then when you have hundreds that are reaching out to a TV station because they're getting nowhere with TxTag, that's a little bit different. We were able to crowdsource and collect toll bills from people so we could then turn those toll bills over in mass to the Texas Department of Transportation and ask them to help clear this up, because we were identifying very specific issues that were happening to multiple people. This wasn't just a one-off, and we had to stay on this for months before we actually aired the story to get TxTag to sit down and actually address what was happening. Out of that, we saw that a number of people had their toll bills corrected, or at least their customer service complaints were addressed. We had to go to the Texas Transportation Commission meeting. Our colleague Kelly Wiley actually got up and spoke in public comment after we talked about all of the things we were not getting answers about from TxTag. And that really was that accountability approach that our viewers and the TxTag customers were wanting. They wanted someone to be able to ask the questions that they had not been able to so far. Out of that, also, we saw that there was some legislative change in 2023. A new law was passed. Tell me what happened there, and then there's been some other updates since then.
Yeah, and just a side note real quick, when we dropped off a thumb drive of the complaints, TxTag said that they were going to look at and investigate all of the complaints that we had sent to them. And a number of viewers said that their issues had been resolved, but there have been some legislative changes. In 2023, a law went into effect requiring toll agencies immediately notify customers when there's a problem with their account to prevent the sort of surprise billing that viewers have been reaching us to us about, to complain about. And then there's been a number of bills to try to change things that have just stalled over the years at the legislature. One of them in 2023 would have done a sweeping study to look at all of the different tolling entities to figure out what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, how they're handling billing errors, how they're handling complaints. That would have been the sweeping study. It stalled. I know lawmakers want to reintroduce that. Senator Bob Hall has filed a bill every legislative session that would create a uniform system. You know, right now, Josh, there are all of these regional mobility authorities that are these independently operated kind of fiefdoms around the state. Senator Hall wants to make it uniform so there's no confusion. He also wants to make it where if you're a veteran, you can drive for free on some of these toll highways, but you have to sign up individually for different tolling entities. It gets very confusing. He wants to streamline that. So that's something we're going to be looking for to see if there's future legislation. And then in the last session, one representative filed a bill that would require toll projects to stop collecting tolls once construction costs are finished. I know that's something that has been talked about for years. I don't know if it's going to get passed. It did not make it very far. But again, a number of bills are coming up that we're going to be tracking, that we've been tracking and will continue to track.
You mentioned these other tolling authorities around the state, and they're kind of these regional mobility authorities, and some of them seem like they have less complaints that are coming from their customers, which is why we kind of focused on them to look at a solutions perspective. Maybe they're doing something different than TxTag was. And in fact, that's what I think TxTag probably had the same idea, because they ended up moving all operations for customer service and billing to HECTRA, which was the Harris County Regional Mobility Authority there. And it's in the Houston area. And that's been happening for the last year and a half or so. How is that operation going?
Yeah, so they migrated everything over to TxTag. We found initially that there were some issues. About 60% of TxTag customers were not initially transferred over. And that's because they said that there were some problems with their account. We heard from some customers who disputed that, so there was an issue. But it seems like everything for the most part now has been resolved. This turned from one of our top #1 complaints that we received almost on a daily basis to almost next to none. I can't remember the last time that we received a complaint about the new system. We did reach out to HECTRA about it, and they kind of said, look, if there was an issue or a widespread issue, we would have heard about it by now. They said after December of 2024, they added 1 million customers, and they did send us a statement. I just want to read 2 lines that they sent me. If the feedback was anything but positive, the objections would be apparent to us all by now. Fortunately, the opposite is true. Customers have expressed overwhelming satisfaction with the improvements, customer service, and billing. Although, Josh, they did note that nothing is flawless. And they said that in the beginning, there was a little bit of a learning curve. Some TxTag customers weren't aware of the migration. They could keep the TxTag sticker, but maybe they were confused why. All of a sudden, they're getting billing statements from Houston when they're not driving in that area. And maybe the statements will look a little bit different than they were used to. So there was a little bit of a learning curve. But all these years later, it seems like the migration has worked. And it seems like for now, most of the complaints that we initially got that sparked all of this have dwindled.
So, seems like things are better, but as we have demonstrated, we are willing to stay on top of this issue for years. So if you do have problems that come up with your toll account or any tollways in Texas, we want to hear about them. So email us at reported@kxan.com. Matt Grant, investigative reporter for our team. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for watching.
You can watch all new episodes of Inside the Investigation on the KXAN Plus Smart TV app every Friday. You can also listen to an audio version on KXAN's Investigative podcast with new episodes every Saturday morning wherever you get podcasts.